Hi, this is Carlin Laborio, and I wanted to make a quick video to talk about the way that the STAAR ECRs are now being scored by computers called ACE, ASE, Automated Scoring Engine. And one of the condition codes that I want to talk about in this video that is coming up on a lot of zeros is that they lack original writing. So I want to talk about what that means, and I'm going to show you examples of student essays that got this code and how we can avoid this. So let's get into it. This was the third grade prompt 2024, hot off the press, which you can find on TA's website. I'll link at the end of the video in the description. And the prompt was explain the ways that soil is important to earth. Okay. Here's an example that I want to show you that scored a perfect 10. Okay. And so if you pause the video and you read this, you will see that they wrote most of this in their own words. They answered the question. They basically said, without soil, we can't live. It brings us plants. There wouldn't be animals without soil. Without soil, the earth would be non-living. And so it goes into what the soil is made out of, which was one of the sections of the passage. And it does say thank you for reading at the end, which I would definitely take out, but regardless, it got a score of 10. Here's another one that scored a 10, third grade. Soil is important to all living things in ways you might not know. Plants need nutrients and water to survive. It talks about how they get the roots, how they get the nutrients from the roots, how plants make food, and all the relationships with that. Okay, so this is a student essay that got a 0, and at the top of the essay, you will notice it says lacks original writing. So when the computer scores something and it gets flagged for lacking original writing, it goes to a human. And one of the things that you're going to see here is this is what the student wrote. They wrote, soil is important to the earth because it brings life to earth. Well, if you look in the passage, brings life to earth is the exact phrase used in the passage. So this student did not answer the question in their own words. This student basically restated the prompt, and the rest of it is all copied. So if you look at where the arrow is, it is copied from it brings life to earth, and then it says paragraph 5 and 6 says, and then it quotes, and then to sum it up, we need soil. Now, we need soil is basically a paraphrase of you couldn't live without soil. So as you can see, the whole essay is copied. There's not really anything that is original. So that is what is going to earn it a 0. And if I were you, I would show this to your students so they can understand why it got a 0. Let's look at the fourth grade prompt. Fourth grade was explain how the events in the story caused Cody to change his opinions. So this is having to do with, it's a fiction story, so it has to do with the character Cody and how the events in the story changed him from the beginning to the end. Okay, so a score of 10, and you will notice that it talks about the beginning, and it talks about what happened, and then it talks about the end. So that scored a perfect 10. This one also scored, oh, I put the same one. But anyway, that was a perfect 10. Let's look at the 0, lacks original writing. Okay, now at first glance, you might think, oh, this doesn't look so bad until you compare it to the passage. So I went ahead and I screenshotted the passage from TA's website. Look at this. The student wrote, the events in the story caused Cody to change his opinions because Cody thinks he is better than Mud, but Mud scored the first goal of the game. That's the only thing the student really writes in his own words. And does that answer the question that he changed his opinion because he thinks he's better than Mud and Mud scored the first goal of the game? That doesn't even answer the question. At the end, and then the whole thing is quoted. If you look at paragraph 6, the entire thing is quoted all the way to paragraph 17. So the student copied from paragraph 6 to paragraph 17. The whole essay is basically copied. And then they wrote one sentence. This proves how the events in the story caused Cody to change his opinions. This shows how the events in the story caused Cody to change his opinion. The student is just restating the prompt using the keywords, but without answering the question. And this is the whole thing. If they don't answer the question in their own words and at least try to explain, they're going to get a 0. And this is clear that it lacks original writing. Let's look at 5th grade. 5th grade was a tough prompt. Explain how, whatever that name is, El Haraya's kindness helps him throughout the selection. Okay. Now, let's look at this passage. If the student is taught to read the gist, which is super important, if they get the questions read, it reads this part to them up at the top above the title. But even if they don't get that read to them, they should know to always read that. So that's something that we definitely need to emphasize, because as a lesson learned, this had a huge clue to the answer. So it says the rabbit is on a journey to find a solution to protect his home from a fox. This kind of tells you that he is trying to protect himself, because rabbits can be eaten by foxes. A fox is a predator of a rabbit. Now, I'm going to tell you the story is basically about a rabbit who helps a snake, and in turn, the snake helps the rabbit by giving him a special power that he can use later on to save his life. And that's what he does. When he encounters the fox, he uses that special power of hypnosis to basically save himself from being eaten. Okay, that's what the story's about. Even if they didn't read the gist, the story tells them that the rabbit, you know, it's kind of like karma. It's kind of like a story about karma. Sorry for my dishwasher in the background. This is unedited. Okay, so here's an example of a score of 10. In this one, it says, his kindness helped him by eventually leading him to hypnotize the fox to banish him far from the warren. So it's basically saying that he saved himself from the fox. That's the answer to the question. I want to show you this one, because this one does not use the word hypnotize at all, but it's still got a 10. This one is in the scoring guide if you want to check it out. It says, his kindness helps him throughout the story by saving him and possibly the whole warren. And it does tell you in the passage that a warren is a hole for rabbits. So it does give the kids the definition for that, because at first I was like, what does that mean? But it does tell the kids. So basically, it's saying that kindness helps him by saving him. It first starts off where he lays in the grass. It kind of, gives some quotes, but then as you can see where it says he found the answer, the snake stayed on the ground. All of this is in the student's own words. So the student is explaining the relationship about karma and how, you know, the fox went away and never came back. Not even other foxes came. The kindness helped him by possibly saving himself and the warren. Kindness can help you and repay you back. That is how his kindness helped him throughout the story. So they're definitely hitting on the whole karma thing and putting it in their own words. Okay. Now, look at this one. This one got flagged by the computer system for lacking original writing. Look how much of it is quoted from the passage. The student starts off, how his kindness helps him throughout the story is by, in paragraph 1, the author states. They are not answering the question. They are just jumping into the text evidence. And look, after they give the text evidence, where's the explain? There's no explain. And then they jump into, secondly, the author states, and then more quotes and no explaining. And then lastly, the paragraph 24, the author states, and that's it. And then this is their last sentence. So you see that explains how his kindness helps him. No, I don't see, because you didn't explain anything. So I would love for teachers to show these examples to their students and say, what did the student not do? How did they get a zero? They didn't even try to answer the question or explain or put anything in their own words. So I agree with the computer. It does lack original writing. Here's another one that also scored a zero. His kindness helps him throughout the selection by being able to help his neighborhood. Does that answer the question? And then it's all quoted. The entire thing is quoted. This shows his kindness helps him throughout the selection by being able to help his neighborhood. Repeats exactly what the student put in the introduction, which doesn't even answer the question. So they cannot just quote an entire, and that be their whole essay. They can't just quote the whole passage and have that be their whole essay. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and which was a little bit of a rant, but this will hopefully show everybody what this condition code really means. Here's the link where you can access the scoring guides. If you go to tea.texas.gov and then you look for language arts resources, scroll down and you'll see constructed response scoring guides, and they have put all grades for 2024. So you can see for yourself all the different score points, and I would highly recommend checking that out. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will put some of the links in the comments, and be sure to check out my website and all of my resources on ECRs. Thanks. Bye.